Scripture that I'm going to start with is going to be in James chapter 2, verses 14 through 20. James chapter 2, verses 14 through 20. Scripture says, "What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say to them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead?" God bless his word. Amen.
Amen.
So the title that I'm going to talk about today, which is actually going to change somewhere along the middle of my message, but the title that the Lord gave me is "The Place Where Your Faith Died." The place where your faith died. And I want to ask you, and I want you to really think about this. When was the last time that you really saw your faith alive? When was the last time that you saw or knew that your faith was really active? Did you get to a point to where you had faith, but maybe it stopped, but you stopped working? Or maybe you're still working, but you're just going through the motions, but your faith is no longer active because you no longer believe in the cause of why you're doing what you're doing. Has anybody ever did something and you sit there and ask yourself, I don't even know why I'm doing this? And if anybody's got kids, have you ever felt like that you was cleaning up something or cleaning up your house and you're like, I don't even know why I'm cleaning this. It's going to be messed up in 5 minutes. I don't even know what the point is. Sometimes we have that same mentality when it comes to our faith, that we are doing things to try to convince ourselves that we still believe, but in reality we don't, because in the back of our mind, we understand, we think, or we've already came to the conclusion that nothing is going to change, that nothing is going to get better, that this is the way that things, that this is just the way the situation is going to be. So there was a point to where you were still working, but there was no faith. The Bible said faith without works is dead. So there has to be a place or a time at some point that somebody in here I know I'm speaking to, but there was a place to where you were once excited, there was a goal, there was a dream and ambition, there was something that God, a passion that you had that you were working for or towards, and somewhere along the way, your faith died in that same place. God told you he was going to do something. He was going to bless you with something. You thought things were going to be different. You thought things were going to be a certain way. And when they didn't come out to be that certain way, something eventually changed in you. Or you had the faith, or you still have the faith, or you say you have the faith, but there's no actions, there's no works that's going along with that faith. As the scripture was saying. So it's the same to say that God is going to bless me with the job. And we've heard this analogy or example used many times, but God's going to bless me with a job, but I never look online to find one. I never go out to go see who's hiring. I never actually pick up the pen to put in the app, to write down and then put in the applications and to go back up to the job. I never call back. One of the things they used to teach us when I was younger, they said, well, if you ain't heard back from them in a couple of days, they said, well, call them back. Sometimes they might be waiting to see how bad you really want a job. Sometimes they forgot. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I don't want to say that God forgot his promise, but sometimes God wants to see how bad you really want it. All right. And so sometimes you have to reach back out and do something, but there comes a point in time to where sometimes we just think that something is just going to happen like that without us doing anything. And because we're not doing anything, we did our faith eventually becomes dead, because he said faith without works is dead, it's pointless. And what he was using in that passage, he said that throw a person, a homeless man or a homeless woman, somebody that's hungry, somebody that has nowhere to sleep or nowhere to stay, and all you give them is, well, be ye warmed and you be filled in Jesus' name, and you walk away. But you got $50 in your pocket. How can you give anybody hope? How can you help anybody? But they're needing from something from you. And so you believe that, but you don't put anything with it. But what if I tell you to go be ye filled and be ye warmed, and I say, you know what? Here's $20. Let me go take you to get something to eat. Let me drop you off over here, and I'll go in, and you can be warm for a little bit. It might not be for a whole day, but I can do something to help you. And so now what I'm speaking, I'm able to believe because I know that it's going to happen because I'm putting some works with my faith. And so I'm going to believe that it's going to be done. In Romans chapter 8, verses 24 through 25, it says, for we are saved by hope. But hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. Anybody ever order a package? You ever be waiting on that package to come?
Amen.
And sometimes you order a package and sometimes you don't exactly know when it's going to come, but it might say, if you go read your report, it'll say out for delivery. Anybody ever seen that?
Yeah.
Say out for delivery. Say it should be arriving before 8 p.m., something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, your mail truck comes and you're like, oh, I wonder where that package is at. Every truck you hear, you wonder where your package is at. And you're trying to figure out if it's coming because you're in anticipation, you're hoping, you have the faith to believe that it's going to come, but you don't know. You're like, I don't see it yet, so I don't know. But if that package is sitting on your porch and you see it, you have to hope for it? Mm-mm. You don't have to hope for it. So it's the same to say that sometimes what we think is real faith isn't real faith because sometimes we know that certain things are already going to happen. We already know what's coming. We already know what's going to happen. And just like you go get a new job, I promise you that you expect that they're going to pay you, but you don't know. Mm-hmm. In reality, you don't know. That company can shut down. Anything can happen. And but you have faith to believe that, well, in these 2 weeks or in this week, I'm going to get this check. Right. Or you don't know for sure, but you just believe that, right? Mm-hmm. Even though you haven't seen that check, you ain't seen the deposit, you ain't seen yourself get paid yet, but you believe that that's what you're going to get, right? Yeah. And so that's what faith is. It's basically, it's like knowing or anticipating something to come that you haven't seen yet. And this is the thing, that I'm working for something that I haven't even received yet. Mm. That's what I didn't like about working. I mean, anybody ever working, you be like, man, why can't I get paid this week? You want to get your money for what you did this week, but you got to wait a whole nother week. Right. Or some people who get paid once a month, like, oh my goodness, I don't want to wait this long because I deserve to get what I need before then. And so sometimes it becomes an issue, but in reality, if we think about it, that's a form of faith. And so this is what it sounds like. I'm going to tell you some of the things that it sounds like when your faith has died or when your faith is dying. Because there are some common phrases and some things that we say or some sentences we start off with when our faith is reaching a place or our faith is no longer active. And one of those things is, this is just how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. I guess this is how my life is going to be. I don't even care anymore. Anybody ever said that? Mm-hmm. Anybody ever felt like that? See, and let me tell you something. Just because you don't say it, don't mean that it's still not there. Right. Don't mean that you still don't believe it. Right. Don't mean, well, I didn't say it. But it's still there, still in your heart. You don't care. I guess it wasn't meant for me. Anybody ever felt like that? Mm-hmm. I guess it just wasn't meant for me to be delivered. I guess I just did too much, Sister Candy. I guess it just wasn't meant for me. I guess the Lord just ain't gonna do it for me. I'm gonna always be broke. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna never come up. And it's not even the fact that I'm thinking I'm expecting to be a millionaire, but I'm not even just gonna be able to be. I just want to be stable. Just want to be content, but I ain't gonna never be like that. Anybody ever felt like things will never change? Yes. Things ain't gonna never change. This is how it's always gonna be. Mm-hmm. See, let me tell you something. Doubt works almost the same exact way faith does. Mm-hmm. Do you know that? Doubt works almost the same way because it translates into a form of belief after a while. Mm. Because doubt, just like those words I said, see, instead of me saying that things won't always be like this, I'm saying things will always be like this. And so because I doubt the positive side, I believe the negative side.
My Lord.
That doubt translated to its own form of faith. And just like the Bible said, faith without works is dead. Well, doubt without works is dead. But in this instance, a lot of times we're acting out our doubt. You're acting out your doubt. You're acting out what you believe. Mm-hmm. See, it's something that happens when I don't believe that when you tell that person that we see on American Idol, when you tell that person that they can't sing, but it don't matter what you tell them, they still go and they sounded like that, and we sit there like, oh my Lord, like why didn't anybody tell them anything? But that's the faith that they have to feel like that. Hey, I got something inside of me that I'm trying to give out because I know that I can win this competition. And sometimes it seems like it's crazy, but why don't we have that same kind of faith?
Right.
Or we might have started out with that same kind of faith, but something happened along the way. Because if you've ever watched the show, you say, well, how can this person make it? And this one didn't. And I feel like that this one sings better than that one. Or I feel like that I should have had that position or that job because I know that I work harder. I know that they be late all the time. I know that there's some things inside of me that puts me ahead of them to where I should be a little bit higher, but why isn't it happening for me? And then you eventually, instead of having that faith and saying, you know what, I'm going to keep working hard and I'm going to keep doing this and I'm going to keep doing that, you stop. Because you say, what's the use? Yeah. And you say, things ain't going to never change. I guess this is just how it's always going to be. What's the point? What's the use? I don't care anymore. And you start saying things, this is just how my relationship's always going to be. We always going to be arguing. We always going to be fighting. We always going to be fussing. I ain't going to never get a better job. I'm just going to always be stuck in the same type of position, doing the same type of job over and over again. Anybody ever felt like that before? Yeah. That at one point that you felt like that you was able to do something? It was maybe a couple of years ago. And my wife knows that I was putting in applications everywhere. Deacon Scott was like, man, we needed some money. I was trying to find a job. And I told my wife, I said, this don't make sense. I said, I don't understand why I can't find anything. And I said, man, I got good work history. I got good experience. I said, I was trying to figure out. I was going on interviews, wasn't getting calls back. And I was getting frustrated because I was like, I don't get this. Why is nobody seeing me? Why is nobody seeing what I know that I have? Why are things changing? And I got to the point where I was like, man, I guess, I said, well, I guess I'm just going to always be stuck in a factory. Because I guess I ain't good enough to do nothing else. I guess I ain't good enough to sit in nobody's office. I ain't good enough to sit and answer somebody's phones or to help somebody or to talk to somebody. I'm not good enough to do that. I felt like that I just didn't. I was like, well, I guess it's just meant for me to sit in somebody's warehouse, make machines, dump boxes, I don't know. But I was like, whatever the job that I was wanting to have, I felt like that I just wasn't ever going to be good enough for it. And because that's what I began to believe, those are the types of jobs that I started to apply for. I stopped applying for the jobs that I wanted to get and started applying for jobs that I didn't want to take. That's what will happen when you start to doubt. And when you start to believe that doubt about yourself and about certain things, that things will never going to change and things will never get better. And that's when you'll start taking abuse even in your relationship and you'll start dealing with it because, well, I guess they're right. I guess ain't no man or ain't no woman going to ever be I guess I ain't gonna never be able to get a good one. I ain't gonna ever be able to find a good one. And because that's what you believe, that's what you begin to do. That's what you begin to sow into. You start to act out on it. And you continue to put up with that abusive relationship, regardless of what type of relationship it is. And even though you believe when you believe the opposite of that, when you believe what God has already told you, when you believe what God has spoken to you, you know what you do? You keep applying for those jobs that you be like, I don't know if I'm going to get it, that seem to be above where you are. You'll keep applying for those jobs. What will happen, you'll sit there and tell that spouse or whoever, that boyfriend or girlfriend, and you say, you know what? I'm too good for this. You're not going to talk to me like this. You're not going to treat me like this. I don't have to put up with this. There's another type of standard that you will have because of what you believe. And so doubt can affect your progress or your process. So we're going to talk about that by going over to Numbers chapter 13. This is referring to the children of Israel. It says, and they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran to Kadesh. and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And it says, and they told him and said, we came unto the land where you sent us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey. And this is the fruit of it.
All right.
Said, but nevertheless, the people over there that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled, or the people that are in that land are strong. And he says, and the cities are walled and very great. And also we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan.
My Lord.
And it says, and Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it. After all of this, he said, let us go possess this.
All right.
But he said, we're able to overcome it. And it says, but the men that went up with him said, we're not able to go against this people. It says, well, they're stronger than we are. It says, and they brought up an evil report of the land, which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw giants, the son of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. And so if you keep reading in Numbers, go over to the 14th chapter, and it says, and all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night, and the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God that we had died in this wilderness? So what had happened was that the people were supposed to go over. It was almost like to say, we're going to move. We're going to move into this neighborhood over here. But when we went over to this neighborhood, well, one said, man, it's a real nice neighborhood. They got some nice stuff on the corners. I like their street lights, man. There's some nice stuff over there. But somewhere along the way, after they sat there and gave that report, somebody said, well, hold on, wait a minute. There's some of them folks over there. And there's some of this type of folks over there. And there's some of these type of folks over there. There's some gangsters over there or some, I don't know, but there's some people that don't like us, and I don't know if it's going to be good for us. And so when they started to give that report, what happened was that because of what they were able to see, they said they began to doubt. And what they were able to hear, they began to doubt. Even though one person said, hey, let's go get it, we can surely overcome them. There was somebody that said we can do this, but everybody else said no. And so these other men that went over to search out this country, they began to say this, and it was such an impact that everybody in Israel started to say, oh, they lifted up their voice. You heard it. God, why don't you just leave us in Israel or in Egypt? Why'd you deliver us from Egypt? Why couldn't we you brought us out here into this wilderness to die? What's the point of us being in here to die? Has anybody's faith ever been to the point to where you said, man, God, I thought that I was supposed to be, I don't understand why I'm here. I don't understand why I'm at. I don't understand why I'm in this place. I was really better off where I was. Anybody ever felt like that? Like, God, I don't get this. I don't get why you told me to move. I don't get why you told me to quit my job. I don't get why I'm going through this process right now. Right. It doesn't make sense to me. And as much as I want to have faith, I just don't have it anymore. As much as I'm trying to work, Lord God, I'm getting tired and I don't know what else to do. Right. I'm trying to hold on to the faith, but Lord, what do I do when I can't see anything change?
Yeah.
When everybody around me is saying the same thing. Anybody, you've been in a family, you know your family will be some of the biggest critics of the people that you hang around, some of the biggest critics of the things you do. And I'm telling you that this is exactly what was going on here. God was telling them, he knew that was the promise, was for them to go over into this land.
Yes, Lord.
But when they went to search out, it was only one person that was able to say that we can overcome it. There was only one person that was able to say that we can do this. And so what happened was a lot of times your same dreams, you're the only person that has that. God has given you specific dreams and passions inside of you that we even talked about this morning that was just meant for you. So when you begin to speak those things, I can't understand it because I don't have that passion. I don't have the passion to be a 5-star chef. I don't have that passion, but you might. But then for me to say, well, girl, you know it costs a lot of money to go to one of them culinary schools. Then you know what starts to happen? Oh, well, I didn't think about that. Well, they got scholarships and stuff. Yeah, but you know, man, you know your grades wasn't the best in school. Yeah, they wasn't. I don't know. Oh, you got them kids. You got a wife. You got a husband. How you gonna do all that? This is what people will start saying to you. And you know what starts to happen? You start thinking about them too. Because when you first decided you was gonna make that decision, you were hyped up and you were happy, right? You was excited, like, man, I can't wait. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna tell my wife, baby, man, the Lord told me to go get my doctorate degree. And you know what? She like, baby, now you know you struggled hard enough in school, just trying to get through. You know, like you think you're really gonna be able to do that? Oh, well, I didn't think that. How you gonna be able to still do stuff in church if you got classes at night? How you gonna be able to do A, B, and C? What about us? What about the family? Then you start thinking, well. But did you hear what I said? I told her at first. Did y'all hear what I said? I said God told me. And see, God tells us stuff.
Yes, He does.
But we stop believing what God told us because what other people said.
Right.
And it is in that exact point that your faith either starts to die or it's dead. Because you give up and you stop trying. There's no longer any works there. There's no longer any real belief there. It's no longer active. There's no more faith there. And in verse 26 of Numbers chapter 14, it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, how long shall I deal with this evil congregation who murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me. Let me tell you, your whispers, God can hear your whispers. And like I said earlier, you ain't even got to let it out your mouth. God already knows, because we know that when Samuel was going to anoint David, he said that man looketh on the outward appearance, but God looketh at the heart. So even though you might not say one word, God already knows what you even feeling when you sitting there thinking it, but you ain't said it. Look at her, look at him. Oh, he think he's somebody now. He already knows, because he did it to Jesus did it to the scribes and the Pharisees in the New Testament all the time. He was telling them what they was thinking and caught them off guard, like, they didn't know what was going on. And so God already knows. He said, I know what they're murmuring against me. He said, say unto them, as truly as I live, saith the Lord, as ye have spoken in my ears, so will I do to you. Do y'all remember what they said? This is what they said back in verse 2. And the whole congregation said unto them, will God to be a God in the land of Egypt, or will God he had died in this wilderness? So he said, because what you spoke, I'm going to do it. Verse 29, he says, your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness. Death. And all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me. That's a lot of people, y'all.
Yes.
He didn't say just the mother's boy. He didn't say just the preachers. He said from 20 years old. Y'all better watch your conversations. Y'all put this. Watch your conversations you have with your parents.
Yes.
Watch your conversations you have with your parents. You gotta watch that. Don't get caught up. You don't want to be like this. And he says, from 20 years and upward, which have murmured against me. In verse 30, he says, doubtless ye shall not come into the land. That's what they said. Concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein. I said that I was going to take you there. I said that this is what I'm going to do. But since you don't want to believe it, he said, I'm not going to let y'all go there, except Caleb. And these are the ones that have the faith. These are the ones that was about it. You know, they was, as they say, they was about that life, Sister Candy. They was ready to go, because they was like, hey, look, I don't know what's going on, but I ain't worried about them on the east, the west, the north, the south. Look, let's go get it. They was hyped. They was ready to go fight and say, let's go possess this land. Even though there's giants there, man, I know I'm smaller than you, but I really don't care. I'm ready to go. That's the same mentality that David had when he went out to go fight Goliath. He said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine to defy the armies of God? He said, who is this? Who does this man think he is? When the whole rest of the congregation sat back and let Goliath come out every day and mock them for days at a time. But David he was just going to give his brother something to eat. And when he saw what's going on over here, this dude, this the one talking, Goliath probably as tall as this tree, it might look like Terrence compared to him. And David was like, man, where my slingshot at? Where my slingshot? I'm going to go take him out. And even when they tried to put something on him, don't let people put stuff on you that was not meant for you. They tried to put on an armor that David said, man, I can't wear this. This ain't meant. I don't need this. I need to be loose. All I know is that this is all I need. I need my slingshot. Let me grab some rocks.
All right.
This is all I need. Let me put them in my little sack. Let me go see. And so when Goliath saw him, Goliath didn't understand what was going on. Thought it had to be some joke. You know you would think it would be some joke if I walk outside talking about I'm about to fight and Sister Candy send out Noah. I'm gonna be like, man, come on, y'all playing. But then Noah take me out. What you gonna do? You're gonna be like, oh, wow. You're gonna be surprised. And they really in the Marvel, so he might have some type of superpower. So I ain't fooling with Noah. But no. But so this was the same thing. So it's like Joshua and Caleb were ready. They believed God. They trusted God. It didn't say they were murmuring against him. They followed their leader, who was Moses. They was like, hey, whatever it is, if this is for me, let's go get it. Let's go do it. We're going to figure it out. I don't know how, but we're going to figure it out. And they were hyped up about it. And so it says, but your little ones, in verse 31, which he said should be a prey, them I will bring in. Yet the younger ones, he said, and they shall know the land which ye have despised. He said, everything that you're talking about, you don't want to go here? Okay, but ones are going to know about it. He says, but as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness, and your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. So their kids have to stay there with them until their parents died off. They have to stay there until they died off. But that's the exact thing that will happen if you're not careful with your faith.